Welcome to the Let's Think About It podcast, where we embark on a journey of thoughtfulness and personal growth. I'm your host, Coach Mo, and I'm here to guide you through thought-provoking discussions that will inspire you to unlock your full potential. In each episode, we'll explore a wide range of topics from self-discovery and mindfulness to goal setting and achieving success. Together, we'll challenge conventional thinking and dive deep into the realms of possibility. Whether you're looking to find clarity in your personal or professional life or seeking strategies to overcome obstacles, this podcast is your go-to source for insightful conversations and practical advice. So find a comfortable spot, chill, and let's embark on this journey of self-improvement together. Remember, the power of transformation lies within you, and together we'll uncover the tools and insights you need to make it happen. So let's dive in. Welcome to another episode of the Let's Think About It podcast. I'm your host, Coach Mo, and I'm here with another special guest. Her name is Doris Jackson-Shazier. Doris, how are you, my sister?
I am doing well. Thank you for such an enthusiastic introduction.
That's how the Let's Think About It podcast roll. The first question that I ask my guests is, where are you checking in from? What part of the country are you at?
So right now I am checking in from rainy Orlando, Florida today.
Okay. East Coast. Born and raised?
Born and raised on the East Coast. I was born in Orlando, raised in Miami, Florida, Dade County, and now I reside just outside of Orlando.
Nice. Definitely happy to have you today. So tell my audience who you are, what you do, a little bit about your background.
All right, so now that's a really loaded question. So again, I'm Doris Jackson-Shazier. I like to put my titles in the order of importance for me. And so for me, that's mom, that's wife, that's leadership coach, management consultant, and now I am a new author. So super excited about that. I sit before you today with about 20 years of corporate field, restaurant, retail, logistics experience. And most recently, about a year ago, I took the very brave step to leave the structure of corporate America and go into entrepreneurship full time. So it's an exciting season for me. I'm checking some of those boxes that I just couldn't check because I was just so busy for so long. And so I'm in an exciting time as an entrepreneur. I'm a mom of 4. I have a very interesting lineup. I have one that just graduated college 2 weeks ago, one that is going to senior year. So I have a 12th grader. I have one going to 6th grade. And I just went to a pre-K graduation on Tuesday because now I have one going to kindergarten. So I have 4 kids in 4 different stages of life all at the same time. And
that's awesome, though. That's awesome. And I can see that you're an influential role model to your kids because they see how active you are in the presence of the leadership acumen that you bring to the table. And then the entrepreneurship. What a role model. That's just awesome.
Thank you.
So how did your leadership journey begin? Tell us about that.
So I like to tell people that my first leadership title was mommy. I think oftentimes as women, we forget or we underestimate our roles as mothers, and we don't recognize that as our first leadership position. We're responsible for the nurturing, the guiding, the development of a little being. And there's a lot that comes into your life and once you get that title. So if I had to say my first leadership role and that journey into leadership would definitely have been becoming a mom. I am the oldest of my siblings. And so I grew up as a leader.
Okay.
I grew up understanding the impact of my actions, that there was someone looking up to me all the time, and a good sense of responsibility. Professionally, I landed my first leadership role pretty young. I was still in college, 19, 20 years old. I got my first kind of supervisory type role where I helped manage in a logistics company. It just took off from there. So I've had roles such as I've been a manager, like a store manager, a district manager, a regional manager, and then at a director level position in a company. And as my influence and territory expanded, I learned different things about myself and how to lead others.
So you mentioned leadership started from within as a mom first. How does that connect over into the professional life? What's your big takeaway in that crossover that you can share with women who are aspiring to be leaders to make that connection for themselves?
Yeah, again, I think it takes some of the same qualities. When you're in management, you are a nurturer. So the same way you nurture your children, the level of empathy you need to display. Now, I get it. We're not going to get it confused with your employees are different than necessarily your family. There is a distinction. However, some of the same characteristics or competencies that you use to lead and influence people are the same. You still need to be empathetic. You still have to seek to understand. You still have to exercise patience. You still have to be a good listener.
Right.
You have to practice forgiveness. You have to be able to extend grace. All of those things I think we associate with just being at home or being at church or being in our community when they really are impactful to the dynamic you create in the workforce. One of the things that I specialize in teaching people is how to create high accountability, high morale environments. So how do you set the right expectations? People understand their priorities, they know their responsibilities, and they're hitting their goals while maintaining good morale. And I do that by practicing some of the things that I do at home at work.
Okay. So let's dive a little deeper into that. What does those practices look like? So like at home, accountability with your daughters, how does that translate into your philosophy and accountability in the workplace?
So for me, I try and begin with a curious mindset. I do the same thing at work, at home. If my kids do anything, I have one daughter and three sons. If they do anything, the first thing I'm going to do is try and seek to understand where's that thought process coming from, what made them do it, what were their intentions. One of the things that I teach leaders when they're coaching is to say not what you thought. So sometimes we assign judgment and intentions to people when we don't even seek to understand why they did it. I remember growing up and my mom would say, I know you were trying to do this, or I know you were trying to do that. That's leading with assumptions and you're assigning intent to my actions rather than asking me what my thought process was when I did it. That's the only way you're going to teach me and effectively redirect me if you understand and help me change my thought process. So with my children, I tend to be the parent that I'm human. I experience the emotion, but I try and exercise composure. Why did you do that? Help me to understand what you were thinking when that happened. Same thing I would do at work. Hey, help me to understand why you made that decision. Then once I understand that thought process, I'm able to either guide them, redirect them, influence maybe that decision making. But now I'm coming from a place of understanding versus assumption. And what it does is it creates a more comfortable relationship. The person feels heard. They feel that I understand them. And then they're more likely to take my redirection because at least I tried to understand their why. And so the same strategy works at home with children, and it works the same way in the corporate space.
So it makes total sense because everything that you're saying, because I'm a leadership executive coach myself, same process.
Yeah.
Understand, being active listening, asking open-ended questions, empowering questions. So it's good to hear that I'm in alignment with your style. So I appreciate that. But my next question for you as a leader in the ranks and all the leadership clients that you work with, what do you see from your eyes and where you sit, some of the biggest challenges that leaders face right now, and how are you supporting them?
Ooh, there's quite a few things that are rising right now. A lot of people are dealing with toxic workspaces. A lot of people seem to be coming in with what I would call corporate PTSD almost, and I'm having to have them partner with not only me, but a counselor. So it's, hey, we could be much more effective if you have someone that's doing therapy with you along with my coaching, because they're coming in with more of the mental health challenges or how to endure or thrive in these toxic environments. So I'm seeing a lot of that. If I had to pick out one thing in particular that it seems like it's a reoccurring thing that I'm inspiring, is courage. There's so much fear, like it's such a climate of fear in some of the positions they're working in. So I'm almost coaching them into how to be courageous, how to be authentic, how to find that balance between being themselves, and they feel like they have to play the game, or they feel like they can't be 100% themselves at work, or having difficult conversations, or afraid to redirect people, or they don't want to lose the relationship, or they think that to disagree means that now they don't have any relationship because they've grown up in a work culture where disagreeing or having a difference of opinion wasn't respected. You were
Right.
seen more as the villain or an opponent if you didn't subscribe to whatever everyone else is saying. So they haven't been in like psychologically safe environments. So it's a lot of kind of partnering them with a counselor to make sure that their mental health is good, so that my coaching can be more effective, and really talking a lot about courage.
Yeah, I love that. And that comes up a lot in my coaching as well, in the organization I work in as well too. Just fear to have, number one, those difficult conversations, and fear in holding people accountable, because the amount of judgment that we carry is scary, because they're trying to project out the worst case scenario that will happen, but it hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah, and man, I'm telling them, I have to refocus them back to being present, because if you're worrying about something that hasn't happened, there'll be time for that. Once it happens, then you do all of that. But worrying it now and it hasn't happened is a waste of your time. Like,
And what are your thoughts on gratitude? How does that play a role into your coaching style?
I think gratitude is so important to us mentally and emotionally. When you can consistently ground yourself or redirect yourself back to focusing on what you have versus what you don't, you do your mental, physical, emotional health a great service. So I think gratitude is important, because we live in such a culture where the focus is either A, our weakness, B, what we don't have, C, what we're trying to get, but it's just focus on whatever's missing. And being rooted in gratitude has a way of, again, redirecting you back to what you do have, and allows
Right.
you to appreciate that more. So I think gratitude is so important to the psyche. And then gratitude as a verb is important. Being able to recognize and show appreciation to others is tremendous. It's transformative in work environments and in homes.
Yeah, I think when we talk about modeling the way, I'm going to go here, modeling the way. And I think that's important, especially with your 4 kids, being that role model and being as successful as you are right now. And we mentioned fear. And I know you've come across certain fears that came up as even as a mother and on a professional side of things. What's your approach in overcoming fear, adversity, and how do you role model that for your kids?
So I like to refer to myself as a professional overcomer.
Okay. Okay.
I really have lived a life of I'll bend, but I don't break. And I've modeled that for my children. So in my new book, Raising Justice, you really get to learn almost how imperfect I am, but all the things that I had to overcome in raising my daughter. Her name is Justice, so she's my first child. But it started long before then. It started growing up in Liberty City of Miami. If you've ever watched First 48, I know family and friends that have been featured on there. And that's the neighborhood that I grew up in, a very rough environment. And so in high school, I made the decision to go to the school in Coral Gables by the University of Miami. So that was a bus, a train ride, and walking to school every day for those 4 years. But I've lived a life of overcoming. I'm the first generation college graduate in my family. I went off to college, and by my sophomore year, I found myself pregnant. And so I had to overcome that and working full time and completing my degree. And so I started very early with having the responsibility of mom while also completing my education and building my career. So one thing that I'm very good about, and I don't think our parents or the generations before of us did enough of this, is talk about it.
Okay.
Like they have endured things, they've went through things, and they've been taught that you just don't talk about it. And that's what I'm different. My kids are well aware of all it takes for them to live the life that they're living now.
Okay.
I've made it very clear and transparent because I want them to have an appreciation, not only for me as their mom, but for the things that they have in life. It didn't fall out the sky for them. Someone worked really hard for them to live the life that they have. I've modeled that. And when it comes to overcoming, I think it's a belief. You have to have a belief of hope. You have to know and believe that nothing is as bad as it seems, that things will always get better. And you can't focus on the fact that it's raining. Don't wait for it to stop raining. Just learn how to dance in the rain.
Interesting, because let's say a person on the professional side comes from an environment where worry, fear is pretty heavy, and they don't know how to just switch to the positivity side of things and be optimistic. How do you work with those type of clients who has a fearful mindset in their leadership style?
So I think we have to explore the root cause of the fear. And is this something that they're carrying on with them from past, or is this something that what's contributing to the fear is the legitimate things that are happening in the environment that they're in? I'm going to ask them how open they are to changing their environment, because they have complete control over where they go. And either they want to be in that space and be fearful, or they can be outside of that phase and take on some other different type of challenges. For me personally, I chose to leave the environment that was causing me thoughts that weren't conducive to my lifestyle. And I decided that I would rather be figuring it out over here than to continue to figure it out in this space. And so I'm going to be open to exploring. Again, they have control over their environment. Why do they think they need to be somewhere that causes them that type of thought process or stress? And what other options are available to them, and help them to explore them?
I know we're talking about coaching and influence, but how does that connect to mentorship? And how do you utilize mentorship in your coaching strategies?
Okay. Mentorship is twofold for me. And when I'm coaching, the client kind of leads that process a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
In mentorship, it feels a little bit more like consulting, in terms of I'm there to help be an advocate, a sponsor, but also answer questions in a different capacity. I know that in mentorships, they're counting on my experience, and
Right.
they're counting on kind of my insights and my advice a little bit. So mentorship for me is a different, more closely knitted relationship. I'm taking this person under my wing, and I'm assuming a different type of responsibility for their success. But also, I am pulling out of them a little bit the things that, helping them to realize what they really want, if they really want it. And my role is to expose them to those things. So for me, mentoring is more, it allows me to be more transparent. It allows them to stand shoulder by shoulder with me as I am guiding and leading them through a process. The coaching relationship is a little bit more informal, in terms of I'm helping them more so to create the solutions versus guiding them through creating their own solutions. So that's what mentorship looks like for me.
Tell me about a success story, whether it's on the mentoring side of things or the coaching side.
So one of my stories that I'm really proud of, I have a few, but the first one that just came to my mind is a young woman that she moved across states and moved into the market that I was at that time the district manager of. And I coached her for a few years. And I remember telling her at the beginning of that year that the store, the setup, everything that was happening in the environment had the right conditions to be the manager of the year. And she's kind of whatever. And so we go through this year. I couldn't have had a better student in terms of, she took feedback. I can be sometimes persnickety, like very detailed. She just took the feedback. She created a plan, and she worked that plan. Just a good student. And sure enough, we get to the end of the year, and she's the retail manager of the year for the district. And then she's the retail manager of the region. And then she becomes the retail manager of the company out of 700 something locations. And I'm telling you, I was like a proud mama, because I walked around the conference that my manager is the manager of the company. And it's something that we talked about in the beginning. And just to have that vision and then to have that follow through with her, it was just an amazing experience.
That's awesome.
Both of us have now moved on to, she's in a new company now. I am doing my entrepreneurship thing, and I had my book launch last week, and she drove hours to show up to my book launch and surprise me. And the tear, like my parents are there, everybody's there, but literally my tears swelled, like my eyes swelled when I saw her, because I just couldn't believe that. I'm like, what are you doing here? I saw it online, and I just wanted to be here for you because you always said you would be an author. And so just to know that I impacted her in the same way that she impacted me was just, it was like a full circle moment. It was really good.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And I think this is a good time to pivot because you mentioned author, book launch. Tell us about this book.
I am so proud of this book. So I've been a person that I've started about 10 books. I started my first book when I was 15. And life has been lifing, and I hadn't completed one. So this is the first time I completed a book.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm so excited about it. And then I could have delved right into creating a book that I felt was attached to corporate and leveraging it that way. But that wasn't what was on my heart. My heart was to talk about motherhood first. I believe that you always begin in and then go out. And so this book is probably one of the most personal books that I have in my lineup right now. My other books focus on coaching and high accountability and high morale, but this one focuses in the home. And it talks about, again, the lessons that I learned through motherhood and I tie in how I learned these leadership qualities in raising Justice. So the book title, it has a dual meaning. My daughter's name is Justice, so I'm literally raising Justice. But also it talks about what it means to nurture and develop a child with the desire to do things the right way, but more of a conscious parenting. So raising Justice is also about my style of parenting, how I became the parent that I didn't necessarily experience. How I wanted to be the person, I wanted my kids to be able to come to me in a manner that maybe I didn't feel comfortable coming to my parents in that way, and how I cultivated and built that relationship. I like to tell people that I was the 19-year-old pregnant girl walking the campus, and I got the stares and, oh my gosh, she's pregnant, and the whispers but I produced the 19-year-old college graduate. My daughter just graduated with her bachelor's in business. She'll be going on to complete her master's in data analytics and is launching into the world very successfully. And so I'm very proud of that. And so this book tells the journey and the story of how the 19-year-old pregnant college girl produced a 19-year-old college graduate.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I'm so hyped for you.
Thank you.
When does it launch?
All right. So I'm having my pre-sale event right now. And so the book is going to be available on Amazon, Apple, Google, and Barnes & Noble starting June 27th, which is my 20-year anniversary of being a mom, or you can say Justice's birthday. But yeah, it'll be available nationwide June 27th. But right now it is available during pre-sale. And anyone that purchases the book from my website, Jackson-Shazier.com, will receive their book autographed by me. So I'm going to pray over it and personally autograph those books before I send them out if you purchase them during the pre-sale.
I got to give me one. I'm speaking with big time, big timer here.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And can I add one other thing? I'm happy that you said that, because the book is modeled through a mother-daughter relationship. People think that it's only for women or mothers or daughters. This book is for everyone. I'm excited. When I did the book launch, I had men and women there, and the men were speaking about how I read the first chapter and how much that chapter touched them. So if you're seeking to understand a woman in your life a little bit better, or how do I cultivate a closer relationship with my children, the same principles apply, whether it's a girl or a boy, whether you're a man or a woman. These are still practical strategies and things that you can utilize to create a better connection with those around you.
Absolutely, because I have a 10-year-old daughter, and I just admire my wife and my daughter's relationship and the bond that they have, and which is different from the bond that I have with her. You got the father-daughter, but how their bond, that mother-daughter bond, is just a different type of bond. And I admire seeing it and how my wife is influencing her from a leadership standpoint of everything you was just saying, from a feminine standpoint, just across the board. And I truly do appreciate that. So I support your book in that site anyway. What was the moment? When was that light bulb light up? Like, this is what I want to do. I'm going to write this book. Tell me about that experience that like really took it to that next level to decide to do this.
Like I said, I started writing a book at 15. So one of those things where you have, if money didn't matter, this is what you would do. And so I lived my life for a long time knowing that money mattered. So I did what it took to pay my bills. When I left corporate, I was a six-figure earner and things like that. And I walked away from it all. So I would say what really sparked my change in thinking and gave me the courage to really step aside from, why does money have to matter? You can make money anywhere. But what was the light bulb switch for me was during COVID. Much like everybody else, COVID made you reevaluate what's going on in your life after just the traumatic experience we all went through collectively. But I got COVID and I was hospitalized for about 7 days. And then I had to do oxygen treatment for about 3 months. And so it sat me down as a person that's consistently traveling, busy, just doing stuff. But it sat me down, and in that quietness, I had to wrestle with my thoughts and really, what is it that I want to do with this life? Because I almost lost it. And if I had lost my life, oh man, people would read my resume, but I'm more than what I do. That's not who I am.
Right.
That's just what I do.
Right.
And you're not going to read my resume at my funeral. My kids, I don't want them to remember how much, I want them to remember I'm a hard worker, but not how much I worked. And so being sat down in that experience allowed me the time to really think about, are my actions aligned with my purpose and what I really want to be doing? And so I started then really thinking about it. I didn't make a move, but really started thinking about it. And what I like to say is the opportunity presented itself when I was in more of an experimental role at the time. My company created it for me to work on a special project, and I knew it was a temporary role. And they came and said, hey, the role is ending. We have another role for you, or you can whatever. I'm like, what's the package? Because I took it as a sign. Like, right. Give me the package, the other role you're offering me. I've done it before. I can do it with my eyes closed. I've made this company a lot of money doing that. So I wasn't intimidated by that role. It was, here's your chance. So I took it.
That's awesome. What fears did you encounter that to overcome?
Number one, just being the primary breadwinner of my family. My husband is an excellent guy and no ego attached. It's about having a team mindset. So his perspective was, you're getting these opportunities, you're rising through the corporate ladder. He's excited for me. So he's in a position that better balanced our family. And so now I'm like, we're going to have to think about flipping this around. You may have to get a little bit more aggressive in your life because I need to be able to take a step back to move forward. I know that there's more for me on the outside than it was in, but it's going to take me time to get there. And so that was my first fear, that responsibility. I am a mother of 4. I have one graduating college, but I have one going into kindergarten. So I have a long ways to go in terms of raising children and getting them where they need to be. So my biggest fear is, this is going to be a change for us. And then how am I going to maintain a lifestyle that I would like and take care of these children? So that was the number one. I think the number 2 was the loss of community. I had been with that job for so long, and so many of my day-to-day communication was with the people in the relationships that I built there. And so I've had to come out and build a different community of entrepreneurs and people in the community and people that are more aligned with where I am now. And so, but at first it was scary. I'm going to miss them. I almost thought about taking the other job just so I didn't have to experience change. I could just get back into where it was and I'll be right back on the rat race with everybody else. It was that I'm stepping away from a community that I've been a part of for a long time. But I was ready. I really was. I really was ready. God had already given me a lot of confidence in the work that I'm supposed to be doing. And I knew that the biggest thing I'll have to work on is the patience to wait for things to happen. Yeah.
Set the precedence for yourself in a company. And that's where you're comfortable. It's easy to be comfortable because you're successful. Yeah. People, the camaraderie, networking.
Yeah. Your reputation precedes you. Like I walk in a room, they're like, that's Doris. Oh yeah, she's excellent. That's the one from Florida. So you get caught up in that.
Right. The thought of, you know what, I'm about to take on this consulting, coaching, write a book, all of that, right? And it's your independence in doing that. It's so easy for judgment to get into your consciousness,
Yeah.
to try to project worst case scenario. And ultimately, that's where the fear really starts to come in. I admire you because I think most women needs to hear your story, your journey, and the book is going to be powerful in the sense of that journey of what you went through as a 19-year-old pregnant, trying to figure it out to where you are today. That's powerful. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I was thinking about this today, that one of the reasons it's important for me to share the story, because I don't want people to confuse, and I was reading this, my faith walk as a cakewalk, because it wasn't. Like, it was not a cakewalk.
Right.
Yeah, it was literally a faith walk. And in this book, again, you learn how God can just take the pieces and put together something that looks real good, that he can put you back together. Because I'm telling you, I was a hot mess express pregnant at 19. And when you dive into that book and just see, I flunked out of college and I had to work my way back in, and just all the different things I went to, I developed the muscle memory for bending, but not breaking.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for people to hear that, and not only this book, but in the books to come, because this book is highly focused on the relationship or the things that I learned through parenthood. But a future book that I'm going to have, like Pieces to Peace, is literally about my corporate journey and my exit. And when I hit that realization, and I left in pieces, and how over the last year, it's my healing journey, what I've done to regain my confidence, to emotionally and mentally stabilize myself, because I left very broken.
Yeah.
And I took it as a hint, like, it's time.
And the reality is people don't see the grind. They see the greatness.
Yeah.
And they don't understand the grind behind getting to the greatness, right?
Yeah.
I correlate it with sports all the time, like Steph Curry, the greatest shooter of all time. But they don't see the thousands of three-pointers he's putting up in just the summer alone, not to mention the bulk of work that he's putting in behind the scenes to even get to that point at college, to start the greatness, right?
Yeah.
See the amount of work that you're putting in, the thought, the consideration, the sacrifices, all the little things that you're doing to build towards the launch of your book, right?
Yeah.
All they see is, oh, she did it. That's great. Good for her.
Yeah.
Woo, woo, woo. High five, high five.
Yeah.
But
It's so much work. It's so much more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even in the experiences of writing the book, but just in this process right now, I wasn't a marketing major. I was a sociology major, and I wanted to go to law school. So I'm completely out of my element. I'm doing daily posts on social media. I'm learning how to do Canva. I'm doing all my own marketing. I'm my business development manager. I'm registering and going out, and I've always sold product, but now I'm selling my own brand. It's different when I walk into the room and I have to be an advocate for myself and sell my brand and say why you should choose me to come and facilitate for your leaders. And yeah, I'm learning a whole different set of skills. And I'm using the skills I have to transition, or the transferable skills that I have, into this new life that I'm creating. But I'm rebuilding my whole career right now.
Yep. Congratulations to you. As we get ready to sign off here, how can listeners find you in the book?
All right. So again, Doris, Jackson-Shazier.com. I made it easy. It's just my name.com. Please contact me there. You'll be able to send me an email if you need to. You'll be able to purchase the book. You'll get to learn a little bit more about me and my family there, and then about my business, Shazier Coaching and Consulting. Also, which you can also go to ShazierCoachingConsult.com. Social media, I'm on Facebook. My page isn't private. You can be all in my business. It's not private. I live very authentically at Shazier Coaching Consult on Facebook. Same thing at Shazier Coaching Consult on Instagram. And if you go on TikTok, it's my name, Doris Jackson-Shazier.
That should be very easy to find you. You're right. Thank you.
My name is.
So So, as we sign out, any last words of wisdom, nuggets you want to leave for the audience?
Last words of wisdom. I guess my favorite thing to tell people is, again, don't wait for the rain to end. Learn how to dance in the rain.
There it is. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time today, and best of luck and wishes on your new book.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you for joining me in this episode of Let's Think About It. Your time and attention are greatly appreciated. If you found value in today's discussion, I encourage you to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Remember, the journey of self-improvement is ongoing, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. Connect with me on social media for updates and insights. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Coach Mo Coaching or LinkedIn at Maurice Mabry. Or visit my website at mauricemabry.com for exclusive content. Until next time, keep reflecting, keep growing, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself. Remember, the most effective way to do it is to do it. Together, we're making incredible strides toward a better and more empowered you. So thank you, and I'll see you in our next episode.